Michael Jackson is guilty. We gotta kill Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson is the most loved/hated man in the world.
If you're down with the rich man, and I can be rich in anything, don't you take too much. If you laugh at a poor man, and I can be poor in anything, don't you laugh too much. If you're trying to be rich man, and I can be rich in anything, don't you take too much. And if you need to be needed, and you're looking for purpose, just remember, don't you need too much. If you're trying to be rich man, and I can be rich in anything, don't you take too much. Cause many men have been drowned in perdition, they don't know their condition is the one too much. So now the whole human race, from just a little taste, has a problem with wanting too much.
First of all, I want everyone to know it's a great honor and privilege to appear in this courthouse before Judge Melville, who is an outstanding and fair and very decent judge. This case is about one thing only. It's about the dignity, the integrity, the decency, the honor, the charity, the innocence, and the complete vindication of a wonderful human being named Michael Jackson. Thank you.
Mr. Mazarel, do you have a question?
I would like to thank the fans around the world. I would like to thank the fans around the world for your love and your support from every corner of the earth. My family, who's been very supportive. My brother Randy, who's been incredible. I want to thank the community of Santa Maria. I want you to know that I love the community of Santa Maria very much. It's my community. I love the people. I will always love the people. My children were born in this community. My home is in this community. I will always love this community from the bottom of my heart. That's why I moved here. Thank you very much.
You just look into the man's eyes, he loves children. Look at what he built, Neverland. That's someone who loves kids. He's a child that never grew up.
I travelled to the other ends of the earth to support Michael Jackson.
Into there. All of this here. Let's let Ross take the lead, and we'll do it systematically, because I have no idea where we're going. Let's stay together. Okay? Go ahead. Okay. All these are bedrooms up here. This is his area right in here. So this is the way we have to go. Right? Okay, there's the code to get in, and that is. Let's let Chris go to his third.
And there's also, somebody said now he's moved upstairs rather than down here. Yeah. So we'll also connect.
No difference who you are. Anything your heart desires. If your heart, your dream is to excuse when you wish for a star as dreams.
This is Michael's.
It certainly looks to me as if the prosecution is getting the feeling that the wheels are falling off their case. I mean, here we have the district attorney of Santa Barbara County calling a witness rude while she's on the stand. I'll tell you, that didn't look good to me or to the jury in this particular case. I've seen tempers lost before and people get frustrated. We've had 2 examples of this in the last couple days by the district attorney. Last Friday, Mr. Zonin asked Mark Garagos if his investigator would pay his home loan for a month because he was frustrated about the investigator paying for the mother's storing of her furniture. And today, while cross-examining the witness of a small, very small paper, the district attorney said, "You are being rude." I'll tell you, that didn't look good to this jury or anyone in the audience. And I know you can't look at this one witness in a vacuum. You have to look to her or look at her compared to the other witnesses. And what she perceived in the mother of the alleged victim in this case was that she was a scammer. Couple that with all the other testimony in this case, and it doesn't bode well for the prosecution in regard to the mother of the alleged victim. And because it doesn't bode well for the mother, it will affect the alleged victim in this case. The defense is painting him with the same brush that they're painting the mother, that he was directed by the mother to perpetrate a fraud on Michael Jackson.
It's an awfully big coincidence that all these people from different walks of life never met each other tell the same story about the accuser's mother, that she plays a victim in all cases, but seems just to be scamming people for financial gain.
Well, the defense has brought on people from all walks of life, and each one of them, to the person, has said that the mother is a scammer in this case, that she appears to be only interested in money. The sister-in-law testified this afternoon that she was only interested in money and wasn't interested in the blood drive. And she put it quite graphically in her testimony this morning when she quoted the mother saying, "I don't want your blanking blood. I want money." I think that was very powerful.
The jurors actually seen these documents, these welfare documents, where the mother is indicating that she does not have money from, specifically at one point, a legal settlement, when in fact 10 days before she has made this deposit or had the money put in her account.
Well, certainly the testimony of the welfare expert from Los Angeles County spoke volumes to this jury in painting the mother as a welfare fraud perpetrator in this case. And again, what it does, you couple that with all the other witnesses, with the fact that she herself has said that she committed perjury, the fact that this witness this morning said she committed welfare fraud, it doesn't bode well for the prosecution in this case. And that's why I think you're seeing the prosecutors lose their cool in this courtroom. Mr. Stetton's too good a trial attorney to call a witness rude. He knows better than that. But again, I think it shows his frustration with the way this case is going. The wheels are falling off.
Michael, just to follow up, talk about the importance of having this witness basically show the jury fraud on the part of the mother in the case of a welfare application.
You're talking about the welfare witness or this last witness?
Welfare witness.
The welfare witness testified this morning that the mother, in fact, in filling out the forms and applying for welfare, perpetrated a perjury. She lied. When asked on the form, "Did you receive any civil settlement in the recent past?" she answered, "No, I didn't." That is welfare fraud. That's what she was painted to be this morning. Clearly, someone that perpetrated welfare fraud. That doesn't bode well for the prosecution.
Well, it was our opinion, and I think we proved it, that this family began to come up with these allegations of molestation and conspiracy only when they realized that they were on the way out, that Michael Jackson was sick of them, didn't want to deal with them anymore, didn't want them on his property. They were calling him daddy. They appeared to want a future with Michael Jackson that he didn't want with them. So our theory was that as soon as they realized they were being eased out, they needed to do something else to stay involved in his life and get a big payday, and this is what they came up with. We only called witnesses we thought had something important to tell a jury, and that includes the celebrities we called. Now, Jay Leno was interviewed by the Santa Barbara Sheriff's Department and secretly recorded by the sheriffs. He didn't know he was being recorded. And he told them words to the effect that this family had contacted him, that the 13-year-old accuser had tried repeatedly to get through to him, and that finally he had a conversation with him. He said that the 13-year-old sounded, overly rehearsed, sounded scripted. There seemed to be a woman in the background, directing what he said. And he got a bad feeling about what this young man was saying to him. And he thought they wanted money, although they didn't actually ask for it. And after that conversation, he told the staff not to let them put any calls through to him again. Now, just so you know, his lawyer didn't want him to testify. And when I first called his lawyer tried to say that he didn't remember what had happened. And I told his lawyer that we had a recording of the phone call, and his lawyer was shocked to hear that because he didn't know there had been a secret recording, nor had he heard it. And I said, maybe you'd like me to send it to you. And I sent it to him, and I said, look, we're going to subpoena him. He can get on the stand, and if he doesn't remember, we're going to refresh his recollection with this recording, and I don't think that's the way you want this to happen. Now, George Lopez was called by the prosecution. If they hadn't called him, we were going to talk about their efforts to get money from him, even going so far as to accuse him of stealing money from the child's wallet. Chris Tucker had interacted with this family on numerous occasions. He felt they took him for a ride. I remember him telling me when I first met him that he was told this child had cancer. He wanted to help them out. He invited them to the set in Las Vegas of Rush Hour 1. He thought they would spend a day, and they ended up spending, I think it was 10 days or 2 weeks, and billing him for the entire amount. And he went to Michael Jackson in Florida and said, be careful, something's wrong. Michael Jackson used to have a rule that every time he gave a concert around the world, he would visit a children's hospital to be as good to children and as kind to them as possible. He wanted to help this child overcome cancer, and he took great pride in the fact that he had had something to do with this child going into remission and beating cancer. He never saw the forces of darkness that were circling
Big fan?
No comment.
Why not? You don't want to tell me how much you support Michael?
No comment. I don't want to talk to the press.
Oh, good for you. Good. All right. Let's go and have a chat with this lady over here.
No,
Where are
thank
you from?
you.
No, you don't want to talk to us?
No, I don't want to talk. Thank you very much.
Have you been out here all this time for the whole trial? 3 months out here supporting Michael. Do you realize you could have been head movie usher by now?
Michael, what would you say to your fans who have supported you through all of this and who today, some of them might have questions? What would you say to them?
Well, I would tell them I love them very much, and they've learned about me and know about me from a distance. But if you really want to know about me, there's a song I wrote, which is the most honest song I've ever written. It's the most autobiographical song I've ever written. It's called Childhood.
You've seen my childhood.
They should listen to it. That's the one they really should listen to.
Before you judge me, try hard to love me.
And thank you for your support, the fans around the world. I love you with all my heart.
The pain for you I've had.
I don't take any of it for granted. Any of it. And I love them dearly. All over the world.
Have you seen my child?
Also today, some fans had gone and put about 40 signs all the way along the road up to Neverland to give Michael some hope and support and give him something to smile about. And some lady went and mowed them all down today with her car.
Police stopped 3 teenage boys for destroying the signs.
They were just saying like Negroes go back home, people that don't belong here, which is not fair, you know. It's just not fair because we just decided not to say anything back to them, you know. But they still did it. They still did it one more time today.
Why
It's just shocking. I mean, and they're just kids, you know.
Why did I voice my opinion? Because I believe he's guilty and I think he needs just punishment. Just like these people are voicing their opinion about him being innocent and supporting him. A lot of locals have been coming out here and doing similar things, voicing their opinions.
Where's the Channel 12 news? Barry, I'm tired. Tell me what happened. Well, obviously, is those young boys that came back before and was screaming out nigger this and pedophile that to Michael and to the fan, and this is getting way out of hand. They're coming by throwing eggs.
Hold that up.
Look at this.
Tell me exactly what happened.
Okay, the tent was flying because of the wind. I was trying to catch it so it doesn't hit the cars, hit the people over there, and this car drives by and throws an egg at me.
This is making it worse. I mean, it's almost like people want to provoke the fans.
Right here! Right here!
There you go.
In black and white!
There you go. Jordy Chandler sketch.
Hey!
Oh, we fired him.
Judge! Jury! Get this into evidence!
KFI Radio had 2 talk show hosts that came to the front of the courthouse. They had private security guards carrying a box of mushrooms in bags, with a sketch attached to them of Michael Jackson's genitalia. This was supposedly the sketch drawn by Michael Jackson's first accuser, Jordy Chandler, in 1993.
Got the evidence right here!
He gave a description of Michael Jackson's genitalia to the police department. That became a piece of evidence that was sealed in a vault.
The prosecution should have subpoenaed the 1993 boy, and his drawings of Jackson's genitals, which were the smoking gun in that case, never came in.
How you doing? Would you like a mushroom? No thanks? You want to look at it? You want to ask me why we're handing out mushrooms? No? Want to see? That's the Jordy Chandler sketch of Michael Jackson's privates there. See? How it resembles a mushroom? See that? Now you want it, don't you? Huh? Sure, you can even eat it. It's hallucinogenic. You'll start seeing Michael Jackson naked in your dreams.
But before they came, they introduced, to the fans like they were nice press, and they have other intentions.
You think Michael Jackson's guilty of child molestation?
Looks bad. Looks bad. 10 counts.
Have you told these people here as fans?
Michael, come out! We know you're in there!
Does Michael show his appreciation for the fans and the support that you guys are out here, spending your own money, giving up your own lives?
I think Michael definitely shows his appreciation. He's, opened up the gates to Neverland a couple of times since all of this has gone on. I was lucky enough to be one of those people that went in last year. And I can't really say too much about it because of confidentiality agreements, but it was an amazing time. And he always makes it clear, when he's passing, we say to him that we love him, and he tells us he loves us more, and it's just a sweet little thing. I think that he appreciates the fact that he knows. Michael is given hundreds of letters every day from the fans, as well as what comes in the mail, and the fans who do get to meet him each day, it's normally a different fan every day, and he knows there's people here for him from all over the world.
Miss Torrigan died of cancer not long after the trial was over.
I wanted to hear what the defense was saying, and I wanted to hear what the prosecution was saying. You couldn't help but want to know more as you started to get to know a lot of the fans.
There was a lottery every morning at the Santa Maria courthouse to allow a certain number of people from the public to go inside and observe the courtroom proceedings.
And some of them just traveled here for this purpose alone and for no other purpose, just to see Michael Jackson go in and come out, hoping that they can get a ticket to be inside the courtroom. Those tickets are at a premium. There was a lottery held at 6 a.m. every morning. This morning there were about 300 people for that lottery. They select 45 lucky people who either cheered or booed when they get one of those seats.
So I think there's groups from fan clubs and things out here at the moment from Europe as well. So it makes up the numbers, and more local people are turning up at the courthouse every day as well.
A lot of the time there were media reporters involved in the lottery with the fans, with other observers, trying to get into the same public lottery, if you will, to get inside the courtroom. Cameras were not allowed inside the courtroom, so there was this lack of information that was coming actually out of the courtroom.
If you are media, and this is important, if you are media and you plan to go through the public lottery, you fall under the public rules. So you might as well take that media ID off and put it in your pocket, because you won't have that media privilege. You will be under the rules of the public. Sorry.
After going into the courtroom, my opinion did start to change. I know some people might think it's crazy, but a lot of what the fans said about the testimony was true.
Jay Leno was a witness for the defense because he had prior contact with the accuser, Gavin Arvizo.
Jay Leno said that Gavin constantly called the house. He constantly called his office over and over again. He keeps calling, and the thing is that he said that was really odd was how he was talking. He was talking so elaborate, so adult-like, not like a child. He said usually a child would be like, oh, I like Batman, that's my hero. But this kid's like, oh, I love you, Jay Leno. I love what you do. You're my hero, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, what? You're only 13. Why am I your hero? You know? And he thought that was weird. And the way he would constantly talk and kind of talk so elaborate, he felt like it was scripted. This is what Jay Leno said. As well as he said sometimes he would hear someone in the background.
He felt like they were looking for a mark. So that's Jay Leno's testimony. Until just recently, he had a number in the phone book. You could reach him, and anybody who called the Burbank studios and asked for Jay Leno would get switched through, and sometimes, particularly if he was told it was a kid, Leno would get on the phone, and he did in this case respond to a message from his assistant to call this boy who was sick in the hospital, and he did. That's how he had the conversations, and that's how the boy ultimately left as many as 6 or 7 messages, which Leno described as sounding scripted, which made him suspicious.
Well, you asked me about what happened regarding the Jay Leno joke with the gavel, the judge's gavel. I was in court the next day, and Jay Leno, I'll give you some background. Jay Leno had made a joke on his show after testifying that he had stole the judge's gavel.
Well, I just got back from testifying. I feel kind of bad because I grabbed a souvenir before I left.
Really?
I know you're not supposed to do that.
What did you grab, man?
Well,
you grabbed the gavel?
And then the next day the judge came in and he said, first thing he said was, where's my gavel? And the jury all laughed. So, you know, we all kind of think that obviously they're watching at least the Jay Leno show, which everybody knows Jay Leno makes fun of Michael all the time about, you know, the child molestation and all of that, which is totally inappropriate.
You know, it's interesting, I had my little cell phone camcorder with me while I was in the witness holding area.
Oh, yeah.
And I got pictures of all the other witnesses. Show that the picture we got of the other witnesses. There they are there. There's a bunch of kids that just loose out and all the other kids.
Jay Leno isn't news media, but when he became a witness in the trial, he received a lot of media attention.
We know that they watched Leno one night, Leno one night. We know they did, and it's because they laughed at something that came from a joke from the Leno show. They wouldn't have laughed.
Kind of proved it that they are watching.
Did the judge laugh too?
Yeah, he laughed. The jury laughed. The media laughed. I didn't see any other fans laugh, to be honest with you, but...
You know, Shep, I have a rule in high-profile cases that I try. You can tell the jury as much as you want, don't read the newspaper, don't watch TV, don't talk to your neighbors, don't talk to your loved ones, and if you believe they actually do that, then I'll sell you a swamp in Florida.
One of the jurors is reportedly considering writing a book about the trial. She's juror number 5.
a 79-year-old widow and grandmother. According to ABC News, the woman's granddaughter has already arranged to have a co-author, but says no final deal has been struck. Fox News legal analyst Bob Massey.
Is it a better book if he's acquitted, or is it a better book if he's convicted? Is that in the back of a juror's mind who may have already even considered a book deal?
Were you aware that Jordan Chandler or his family on his behalf filed a lawsuit against you?
Yes.
Okay. To your knowledge, Mr. Jackson, were you ever accused of having sexually molested Brett Barnes?
Won't answer that.
Something bad about a child that made me feel really mad.
When you'd have sleepovers and you'd stay in the same room or the same bed, did that seem unusual to you at all?
No, because I slept on one side of the bed, he slept on the other, and that was that.
Do you know a person by the name of Macaulay Culkin?
Yes.
No.
Get your answer.
So you're going to let him answer questions about Macaulay Culkin?
Let him answer that one.
To your knowledge, were you ever accused of having sexually molested Macaulay?
That's an instruction not to answer on that one.
I have to say, Chris Tucker and Macaulay Culkin will always go down in my book as loyal, good friends. They had managers and agents and lawyers who didn't want them to get involved, and they both told me that when Michael needs us, we're going to be there. There were other witnesses, people he knew at Neverland who came in to tell the truth. We had a lot of people that rose to his defense.
What's the relationship that you had with Michael Jackson?
Had or have? I mean, it's kind of, you know, whatever.
Let's go with had.
Listen, no, he's a good friend of mine, and he still is. I mean, everything that's going on, I mean, it's unfortunate. It's an unfortunate situation for everyone involved, and, you know,
How did you first get to meet him?
I first met him, he kind of called me randomly, like out of the blue. Just kind of like, hi, it's Michael. I was like, hey. And the thing is,
This was after Home Alone?
This is after Home Alone. I actually had met him before I was doing Nutcracker at Lincoln Center. I was playing Fritz, and he came backstage one day, and I actually met him very briefly. And he kind of recognized me because it was after I'd done Uncle Buck, and so he kind of mentioned something. And then he calls me up kind of out of the blue. It's kind of just this weird random thing, and he was like, why don't you come over to my house? And the thing is, I didn't react to him the way most people did. Most people are like, Michael Jackson. And, you know, I mean, he was a god to people.
And I would walk up to them, strangers, and say, will you be my friend? They'd go, oh my God, Michael Jackson. And it's not what I wanted. I wanted somebody to love me or be my friend for me, or not to see the external me.
To me, he was, you know, I knew he was a pop singer, but beyond that, you know, I wasn't one of the fans. I think that's one of the reasons why we connected, was the fact that, you know, believe me, I call him a jerk all the time. I call him a fathead and this and that, you know, and he gets it.
Brother knew him too?
Yeah, no, we all did. I mean, he was, you know, a family friend.
What happened at the house? That's what all these things are.
You know, that's what's so weird, you know.
What did happen?
Nothing happened, you know. I mean, nothing really. I mean, we played video games, you know. We you know, played it at an amusement park. Well, the thing is with that whole thing is that, you know, they go, oh, you slept in the same bedroom as him. It's like, I don't think you understand. Michael Jackson's bedroom is 2 stories. And it has like 3 bathrooms and this and that. So when I slept in his bedroom, yeah, but you have to understand the whole scenario. And the thing is with Michael is that he's not very good at explaining himself, and he never really has been, because he's not a very social person. I mean, you're talking about someone who's been sheltered and sheltering himself also for the last like 30 years, or, you know, and so he's not very good at communicating to people, and not very good at conveying what he's actually trying to say to you. And so when he says something like that, you know, people, you know, he doesn't quite understand why people react the way that they do.
Why do you think he likes young people. So.
It's because it's the same reason why he liked me, was the fact that I didn't care who he was. That was the thing. I talked to him like he was a normal human being. And that's what, and kids do that to him because he's not, I mean, he's Michael Jackson, the pop singer, but he's not the god of, you know, the king of pop or anything like that. He's just, you know, a guy who's actually very kid-like himself and wants to go out there and wants to play video games with you.
Did your parents
like
encourage it?
They weren't against it. You know, it wasn't like they encouraged it or like pushing me upon it. It was just kind of like I wanted to hang out with him.
And Jesus said to love the children and be like children. Be youthful and be innocent and be pure and honorable. He was talking to his apostles, and they were fighting over who's the greatest among themselves. And he said, whoever humbled yourself like this child is the greatest among you. And he always surrounded himself with children. And that's how I was raised, to believe and to be like that and to imitate that.
Yeah, you know, there's been different times where it'll just be me and Michael. Then there'll be other times where he has other friends over too. That's what, like what Brett said, it's just a slumber party. We just have a lot of fun.
I've been there when these kids have been in Michael's room. I've been there with them. It's just party time. They watch videos, they eat junk food, they play video games. They play so hard. They fall asleep. They're exhausted. They fall asleep.
Now,
there's nothing more to it than that.
From your standpoint, does it seem unusual for a 34-year-old man to have kids sleeping over?
Not when you know Michael's background. Under normal circumstances, possibly yes. But Michael, everybody knows he didn't have a childhood. He impresses on me constantly that it's very important that Wade does have a childhood because he's in the same industry.
Before I washed his hair, we actually knelt down on the ground. And he put his arms around me, and I put my arms around him, and he would put his head right here and weep. And we would pray for God to help us and for people to know the truth. And then we'd get up and wipe our tears, and I would wash his hair.
Do you think he thought he was going to be convicted, Karen?
He didn't know. I mean, it was so vicious. I had to walk the red carpet into that courtroom every day in front of all the cameras. He said during the trial, I can't believe the world is doing this to me. He said, I gave everything that I had. I gave them my music, I danced for them, and this is what I get in return.
It had to be totally torture. I can imagine what was going on in his mind and his head, you know, and he's not strong in that way at all.
The stress and strain of this 5-month trial took a toll on him. You saw him losing weight. He was having trouble sleeping. I would talk to him at 3, 4, or 5 in the morning, and he would be terrified, particularly about what might happen to his children.
He did need some help, some things to help him fall asleep at night, because there was no way he was sleeping with all this stuff going on in his head. I don't know how anyone could sleep.
The thought that you might be found guilty and spend the rest of your life in a jail cell and all your accomplishments washed down the drain. I don't know how he coped. Most people would have taken a gun to their head.
The first day of Gavin's testimony, Michael shows up and he's in pajamas. And he looked like he was in really bad shape. And they had to like help him into the courtroom. From that moment on, everything started to get really awful. You started seeing Michael coming in every day looking like death. It was as if the testimony was just destroying him.
To sit there in court and watch the legal system hurl absurd and vindictive and nasty, mean-spirited allegations at him like this absolutely traumatized him.
For me, and for other people who actually knew Michael, this was a real human being whose life was being destroyed. And every day just seemed to get worse.
It's sad because I really feel that trial is what really depressed my brother out to the point where he just wasn't happy. He never went back to Neverland.
I will never ever sell Neverland. Neverland is me, you know. It represents the totality of who I am. It really does. I love Neverland.
For Michael not to go to Neverland, he must have been pretty sad. Didn't want to have nothing to do with that place ever again.
I won't live there ever again. I'll visit Neverland. It's a house now. It's not a home anymore. I'll only visit there.
It bothered me because I was wondering how he was feeling and how he was dealing with it. Michael used to always tell me I'd rather slit my own wrist than to hurt a child.
I would slit my wrist if I would hurt you.
And here they are trying to accuse me of the thing that I love best, and that's children. Accuse me of molesting them.
The more I looked at the facts, the more I conversed with him, the more ridiculous these charges appeared. He just did not seem like the kind of person that could ever engage in this kind of behavior. They couldn't find any pornography on his computers. They had the FBI test every computer at Neverland. They couldn't find any kiddie pornography. This family began to come up with these allegations of molestation and conspiracy only when they realized that they were on the way out. Do I personally think he had a vendetta against him? I absolutely do. Why else would you devote all that time and energy to trying to convict one person?
It was really up to, and I felt he was a very vindictive person.
He really, truly looked like a dead man walking.
It was a tense moment. You know, the entire world stopped to watch what was going to happen to the best-known celebrity, a musical genius, Michael Jackson.
The jury in the above entitled case find the defendant not guilty of conspiracy as charged in count 1 of the indictment.
The verdict was read, and it was not guilty, not guilty, not guilty, not guilty, all the way down the line, all counts not guilty. And I remember very specifically Michael seeming to not understand. And I remember Tom Sneddon looking at Michael for a reaction and not really getting one. And I also remember Tom Mesereau, his lawyer, leaning in and mouthing to Michael Jackson, "You're a free man." I could read his lips because I was so close. And Michael still didn't get it. You felt like it was a triumphant moment, but then when you looked at him, you realized he wasn't there for it. There was nothing you could do. He was so devastated that it had happened that you couldn't even find a place to be happy that it ended the way it did, because it was so devastating that it had occurred at all.
But with just a little love and a little caring, I have seen kids totally turn around where you can't find any cancer at all in their body. I've done it a lot of times. I'm not trying to say I'm Jesus Christ. I'm just saying we just should, you know, give a little more attention to the power of love and caring and faith and prayer.
He would always tell me, "It's over, I don't trust anyone. I don't know why they're doing this to me. They want me dead." He said, they're going to kill me for what I got.
Veggie burger?
No, I'm okay, thank you.
The Jimmy Kimmel Show had a Michael Jackson fan impersonator, Tony Barbieri. He thought it would be fun to invite kids into the Michael Jackson bouncer.
I've been bouncing all day with all these kids. Look, I caught a bunch of kids. This is all for you, Michael.
All right. Well, don't please release them when Michael gets out. Yeah, now, Jake.
I'm not making any promises.
Okay, Jake. So are you going to be bouncing until they deliver a verdict?
I'm hoping to if my T5 vertebrae holds out.
Okay, very good.
That's a great one.
But you know, nowadays people think humor and creativity in humor is just bluntly to people's face, make fun of them, and see how they respond. That's not creativity.
But
I mean,
but
that's
they're
not a comedian
journalists either.
No, but the puppet guy.
No,
I mean,
it isn't.
It's supposed to be
not
funny.
news. It's not news.
No, but
and I
even
agree.
if you think you're funny, then be creative and
But
write
this
your
isn't
own
funny,
jokes
though.
instead of just insulting
No,
people
I
to
know,
their
but-
face.
Wow, look at you. You've got the hair and the clothes. You've even got the same vagina. Unbelievable.
We thought, who better to send to the Michael Jackson trial to give us a fair and balanced analysis. It's just an analysis of what's happening. Our good friend Triumph, the insult comic dog, we sent him the other day, and here's Triumph's report. Triumph?
Yes, people have assembled from all over the world, joined together by a common disconnect with reality and absence of logic.
They make a joke out of it. They turn it around. Everything he says, they turn it around, though.
What do you think? I think this is just the same as it always was. Yeah, right. The nice banging lassie. Well, I guess you are.
Hi. What do you think?
We're not cursing. We're not doing
Let him finish. Let him finish.
What do you think?
You know, making those kind of jokes.
You can't finish with her in the shot.
No, why not finish?
Because you're in the shot.
Oh, really? Did you graduate from college? What was your major? Was it puppeteering?
It's good.
You must have a really good paycheck. I mean, to come out here with a puppet on your hand.
Thank you.
You do it so well.
Oh, I think he cried one day on the stand.
He cried and he came in his pajamas and then...
He came in his pajamas?
But why didn't you like it? Come on, bring your
No, guys,
puppet.
let him finish. I want to finish saying what I got.
Yeah, they're going to edit.
None of us can really know if Michael Jackson is innocent or guilty. But there is one thing we do know. He's guilty.
Oh, he got into court today.
Yeah.
You got into court as your second day.
Sometimes you have to let go of your opinions, stop sifting through other people's opinions, and let the evidence be the truth.
Barry, you get in? I hear you got in. First day in trial, huh?
Yeah, first day.
How was it? Can I turn the cameras around?
It was boring.
Why was that? Is there any relevance to any of the information that they're talking about?
No, it just seemed like they were arguing the same point over and over and back and forth, and it really wasn't much of a point to begin with. And they spent almost the whole day on it. But part of it was interesting. They talked to the social workers that responded to the first allegations. They all said the same thing. I mean, their testimony was that Janet, her kid, Star, and the other didn't. They all said that Michael was an angel. That he was like a father they never had. That he did, so many things for them, and they only had good things to say about him. There was not one bad thing that they could say.
The kid goes to the social workers and tells the social workers everything's great with Michael Jackson. And today on the stand he said, yeah, nothing happened when I was at the social workers. Everything was great. We were great friends. I love Michael Jackson. Then after he meets with social workers, after he meets with the dean of his middle school, after he does all these interviews, he still says nothing happened with Michael Jackson. And it wasn't until he met with two lawyers one of whom sued Michael Jackson successfully in 1993, that suddenly this kid remembers or decides to reveal that this alleged act of molestation occurred.
Wow. Janet Arvizo and her family began seeing civil lawyers about their case against Michael Jackson on February 21, 2003. It wasn't until June 13, 2003, 4 months later, that Janet told the police about the alleged molestation of her son. While in court, I also learned that the child's mother had been involved in another sexual assault case when her 2 boys were caught stealing at JCPenney. She filed a lawsuit against JCPenney claiming their security guards sexually assaulted her. She won a settlement of close to $150,000, which she never claimed while receiving welfare checks for several years. Janet changed her name 3 times in the last 5 years or so. First, it was Janet Ventura. Then, Janet Arvizo. Now, it's Janet Jackson.
I'll tell you the last word. The mother's name is now Janet Jackson, rather. Do you know that? People in America don't even realize that. She married someone named Jackson, so she is Janet Jackson. And Mesero tried to point out today that she's trying to be Janet Jackson. So there's this whole surreal quality to this trial.
2 reporters showed up at Neverland that afternoon. Roger Friedman and Aphrodite Jones.
I'm still a fan, don't you understand?
Both with Fox News. Both looking for some hope of another story from the fans.
I'll tell you what, Harry. He did not. I don't think he did molest Gavin Arvizo.
Can you say that?
I just said it. I said it. Hold on. I've said it before.
10 years ago, when he had a problem with charges of child abuse, and he narrowly escaped it by paying off the family, then he could have had therapy, he could have had treatment. It's heartbreaking to see what he may have done to other children.
No, but he's filming us. I want to film him.
I'm just wondering, what are you doing here?
What are you doing here?
He's with us anyway.
What are you doing here?
I'm trying to find out what your intentions are here.
What my intentions are?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if I can tell you my intentions.
So what's your friend doing here?
Who, Aphrodite or Jim?
Aphrodite.
She came with me.
Is she doing a special report on the freaks around here?
No, we just wanted to come down and see what was happening.
You lied that so bad, man.
Huh?
You lied so bad, you have to...
We really did just want to come down and see what was happening.
Really, truly. I don't know.
Oh, you don't know? You've been following it this long and you don't even know?
We know.
You've had an opinion every day on television, but you don't know now?
This is the type of behavior that bothered me. Aphrodite Jones comes to Neverland to tell the fans she is a fan too.
I'm not talking about you.
To be this
but I'm saying monster. It's like they make you feel like.
Yet here on national television, Aphrodite seems pretty convinced of Michael Jackson's guilt.
This does not look good for Michael Jackson nor his team, and there's a lot of names that we're going to be starting to hear about that makes this a
This is so
huge
bizarre.
Story.
So, if this plays out, the prosecution is going to allege that they were going to whisk this family away to Brazil somewhere against their will on some kind of private jet. And
they have the passports, Bill.
All right. I mean, I don't know.
They have the passports and they have the visas.
Aphrodite, don't convict them. They got to have their say too.
He can be, in my mind, he can be the creative genius that he is. He can be a child of God that he is. When he talks about channeling the music and all that, I identify with that. I know that about him. So he is all that. Right. And at the same time, he can have another life that's the dark side. No, we all have our dark side. There's no human being that doesn't.
Play a game. It's a game out there.
It's not a game for me. I'm just,
not for you, but the way they make it, it's a game.
It's like baseball, okay?
You can't just be out there 100% pro MJ and expect to keep you on TV. I understand that.
I got this. I don't know. I have a responsibility to go out to the public and go, here's what they're saying. Here's what this one's saying. Here's what this one's saying. At the end.
In the end, she decided to spend the next 2 years writing her new book about the media conspiracy against Michael Jackson.
We didn't cover the trial, what was going on in the courtroom. You know what we did? We covered the man. We covered celebrities coming in and out. The media already decided that Jackson was guilty before there was ever a trial, based on prior allegations that were allegations, just that.
You didn't think he was innocent.
No.
You were in a trial for us.
I was in the trial.
And you thought he was guilty as sin.
And so did everyone else. And I kind of wanted to be one of, follow the crowd.
But you don't think he's a pedophile?
I don't think he's a pedophile.
Okay.
This isn't about just a celebrity being put on trial. This is about a human being, a man who, he's a father. He has a life. He does want a private life. And, I just hope that people can hold on and keep an open mind. Despite whatever they see on the TV, I just hope they can wait until everything from both the prosecution and the defence have put their cases forward, and then make up their minds, and then have an opinion.
Will I get the cue to move from the start of the...
I had never seen anything like this. A reporter reporting a story that hadn't happened yet.
3, 2, 1. Even though his fans will be with him forever, in the end, the jury just did not believe that Michael Jackson was Peter Pan, that what was going on here behind the gates at Neverland was nothing innocent, that there was nothing normal about a 45-year-old man sleeping with young boys. There were just too many previous allegations to ignore. You had idiots like fans.
Art Harris was pre-recording his coverage of the conviction of Michael Jackson. What better place to do it than right there in front of the fans?
Where did you go to journalism school? Where? Why can't you answer my question?
Because if you went to journalism school, you'd recognise that you have to do a job sometimes.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Let me ask you
So do you feel that he's being accurate?
Can we ask you a favor?
Don't touch.
Okay, guys. So we don't want any problems. Okay. We don't want to sound okay. Then probably the best thing.
They came into there and they started screaming, calling us freaks. Of course, the fans reacted.
Okay. I can't stop them from calling me freaks. Okay.
Big crowds at the courthouse today, and at times the fans have been antagonistic towards the media. In fact, Court TV's Diane Diamond yesterday obtained a temporary restraining order against one of those fans, 18-year-old BJ Hickman. Hickman is here from Knoxville, Tennessee to support Michael Jackson. Now, Diamond alleges BJ was inciting people to attack her. She now has 3 guards to protect her. Hickman says that he will comply with this order, but that he doesn't think that it's fair.
Diane Demon has served BJ Hickman with papers.
The restraining order meant BJ could not protest anymore in front of the courthouse, or he'd be arrested.
He's loud every day, and he's there chanting for Michael, fighting with and for Michael. And he doesn't keep it to himself when he speaks his mind about Diane, but he does it within his vicinity, right where we're supposed to, where we're allowed to protest. We're really, really tired. We're really, really exhausted. We've come to this low point. I have, at least, and I'm sick to death with it. I'm sick. I don't know what to do anymore. I'm going to stay strong. I'm going to be here for Michael, and we're going to be here till the very end and beyond. You know what I mean? But we've had enough. We've definitely had enough.
We're at the end.
We better end.
We, the jury, in the above entitled case, find the defendant not guilty of a lewd act upon a minor child as charged in count 5 of the indictment.
I can't describe it. I can't.
I have one word.
You tell me who's bad now. It's Michael. I love you. Congratulations on everything, and thank you for everything you've done for me.
Can you say anything about what's happening inside the house? Not shaking hands. Randy, why don't you want to say anything? It would seem like it'd be a happy day for you.
This is history, a big stab of history, not just for Michael, but for, you know, for many things.
When I first started this project, I thought it was going to be a funny documentary, a fun documentary, you know, something that would be humorous and kind of light. But it ended up being really a very heavy issue. I don't know why I thought it was going to be funny and light. I mean, it was a child molestation trial. But for some reason, because it was involving Michael Jackson, I had this, I don't know, I had this feeling that it was going to be a big joke. And I know now, I think I know now why I felt that way.
When I watch the news today, I definitely see a pattern. Despite the far more crucial issues in the world, news broadcasters, I think, are in the business of making lots of money. And the news just isn't the news anymore. Nothing increases ratings or gets more advertising time than the potential guilt of a celebrity. And the Michael Jackson trial is definitely just one example of this. I think the news broadcasters think that they have to hype their stories in order to keep us interested. And this just makes me wonder, you know, will we ever believe, or can we ever trust what we see in the news?
The past year and a half has been nothing less than a media circus. The singer's legal problems have sold millions of magazines, provided hours and hours of material.
I think this is, I'm sorry to say, another kind of example of not guilty by reason of celebrity. One who describes himself as Peter Pan
Neverland has been searched more often than the Pakistan-Afghanistan border.
Neverland.
Which has
left him to be a spectacle for certainly the whole world.
The wheels are coming off. Odds now 50-50 even. Michael Jackson will be convicted of all charges.
Michael Jackson.